Hello and welcome. So today, guys, I have a very special video for you because, at the beginning of every video, I tell you that I am totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. And I do mean that. And what I would like to do is go a bit deeper into how to create the right fragrance experience for you or customized specifically to you. So part of creating the best fragrance experience for you entails connecting you to the right fragrance, right? A fragrance that really is uplifting for you. Not only that you love the scent, but that it's also uplifting, like a mood altering fragrance that makes you feel beautiful, sexy, empowered, confident, right? That whole collection of feelings that are all positive. So with that in mind, it is important when I talk to you about a fragrance, because the fragrances that I bring to you are fragrances that I've had the opportunity to test or to evaluate and that I feel are good fragrances to bring to your attention or recommend. But at that, you need to have kind of like an understanding of what type of fragrances or notes you are into. So that is what today's video is all about. I want to share with you my experience in really understanding what fragrances I prefer, what notes I prefer. How is it that I learned to really discern between one note or the other? So today I'm going to start by sharing with you what are fragrance notes and what are the different types of fragrance notes. We're also going to be talking about the note structure composition that you can find in pretty much every fragrance. After that, we are definitely going to focus on what are some of the steps that you can take in teaching or training your nose to pick up on different notes within a fragrance. I will also share with you a couple of tools that I've used to get to the point where I can pick up on the different notes within a fragrance. I also wanted to let you know that I am in no way an expert. All I'm doing today is sharing with you my experiences in this journey of fragrances. I have been into fragrances for all of my life. I can't remember a time that I wasn't sniffing fragrances, whether it was with my mom when she was getting dressed and I would just go and sniff a fragrance that she was planning to wear for the day. And then as I was growing up, I had my own fragrances and I just developed a love for fragrances. Then as an adult, and of course as my purchasing power increased, I definitely became a fragrance collector and someone that really gives a lot of time to fragrances, their composition, and how they make me feel. So today I am going to be sharing with you my experiences, but again, I am in no way an expert. All I'm doing is sharing with you what has worked for me. We will be focusing today exclusively on notes. We're not going to be talking about accords. We're not going to be talking about maceration versus maturation. We're not going to be touching upon the overall vocabulary used in describing or speaking about a fragrance. And we are also not touching the concentration levels of a perfume. Those are all topics that I will reserve for other episodes or other videos within this series. But before we jump right in, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi, and I'm your fragrance concierge because I am totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, and sometimes you even get a bonus video for the week. If that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. So what are fragrance notes? How about if we just start talking about that? Because I'm not going to assume that you know or you don't know anything. I figured we'll just cover everything. So fragrance notes are individual aromas or scents that are part of the composition of a fragrance. And when they all come together, which is what we typically describe as a blend, when they all come together, they give this fragrance or that specific fragrance its distinctive scent profile. Within any fragrance, there's always three groupings of notes, to call it something. There's top notes, middle notes, and base notes. Now, top notes tend to be a little lighter than the middle and the base notes, and they are the notes that open the fragrance for you. And typically, like I said, they are lighter notes, but they are notes that are very, very nicely done because they're designed to pull you in. It's the opening of the fragrance, so of course it's very important. Typically within the top notes, you will find citrus notes and you will find light florals. And at times you may find a spice, but you will also come to understand that when you find a spice in the top notes of a fragrance, it hasn't been done most of the time to its full intensity because, again, this is the opening of the fragrance, and the opening is just designed to lure you in and make you feel like you really want to continue to experience the olfactory journey in this fragrance. Now, top notes are also, because of their light and kind of airy nature, they're also going to be the notes that fade the quickest within all of the notes that you will find in a fragrance. They will definitely fade quicker than your middle notes and your base notes. Now, middle notes are a bit different because I like to think of middle notes like the ones that really define the body of a fragrance, right? So middle notes are definitely much more dominant than the top notes, and at times they can either compete or be more intense than your base notes. So middle notes are designed to be the perfect transition from the top to the base notes. So they create a balance between the top and the base notes. Within the middle notes, you're going to find gourmands, you're going to find florals, but these florals are bright florals. They're not like the little faint or very delicate florals that you find in the top notes. No, in the middle notes, you are going to find a lot of oomph in the fragrance. So you're going to have notes that are really going to be a bit intense. So you have bright florals. If you have a spice, it's going to be a spice that at times may be dominant within the olfactory journey. And then you will also find fruits. At times, even though woody notes are typically reserved for the base notes of a fragrance, you may find them in the middle notes, depending on how intense the dry down of the fragrance is designed to be. Now, the base notes are the notes that ground the fragrance or anchor the fragrance. I'm sure if you've been with me for a while, you've heard me describe the base notes as, oh, this specific note grounds the fragrance, right? So these are the notes that definitely give the fragrance all of its character, and these are notes that will be with you throughout your entire wear of the fragrance. They're not necessarily the most dominant of notes, but they are notes that will remain. They typically do not fade. They are truly the notes that provide depth and longevity to your fragrance. So they are very, very important. Within the base notes of a fragrance, you're going to find your vanillas, your musks, your amber, your woods, and your spices. So all of these notes are definitely notes that are designed to give and add depth and or character to your fragrance. So why is it important to really understand your fragrance notes? You may be thinking, okay, Arahi, this is a bit much. I just signed up to know if I love a fragrance or not. I'm really not trying to become an expert or know all the details behind a fragrance. But guys, it is important that you understand, number one, the different layers of notes within a fragrance, which are your top, middle, and base. And it's also important for you to understand the dynamics that occur between notes, because this will allow you to evaluate fragrances. It will give you the ability to evaluate a fragrance and, most importantly, determine what type of fragrances you are into and what type of fragrances you're not into. And for us fragrance lovers, we know that we should not be doing blind buys, but every so often we will sneak in a fragrance and blind buy it. So if you have an understanding of notes, it will be easier for you to blind buy and it be a success. because just by looking at the note structure of a fragrance, you will typically kind of gauge if there is a high chance or a low probability of you really enjoying that fragrance. In addition to assisting you with those times where you decide to blind buy a fragrance, having a clear understanding of notes and how you feel about different notes, honestly, guys, the best part about that is that it opens your eyes to the olfactory journey. Whenever I speak about a fragrance, I'm sure you hear me time and time again repeat olfactory journey, because the olfactory journey is just about everything. Let me tell you, it's one thing to enjoy a fragrance, but once you start to understand what a note may smell like in a fragrance, you are going to be totally hooked as a fragrance lover in enjoying and experiencing what we call the olfactory journey. So the olfactory journey starts from the moment you spray a fragrance, whether it's on paper or whether it's on skin. But the best experience happens when you spray it on skin and you immediately start to pick up on how your skin chemistry starts to change, or not alter necessarily, but change what you're picking up from this fragrance. It is the best part of experiencing a fragrance. Going through that journey is just a delight, and it is something that will definitely get you very hooked, very addicted to that process. It is important that you understand what are those notes that are really not sitting well with you, because then you can avoid in the future any fragrance where those notes are present. It really depends on how much you really are not tolerating those notes. There are definitely notes that I really don't like. I know you guys think that I love just about everything, but I don't. I just bring to you the ones that I feel are really going to provide you with a positive experience. Why would we want to waste time talking about fragrances that I really believe, number one, are not fragrances that you're going to love, and most importantly, are not going to give you a real pleasant olfactory journey. The more you understand notes and the more your nose becomes accustomed to different notes, it will just open a whole new world of how you experience a fragrance and what scent profiles you prefer versus others. I tell you, it is the best part of being a fragrance lover. Okay, so how do you pick out the notes in a fragrance? It is just one simple thing that you need to do. You need to train your nose to pick up the notes in a fragrance. It is very important that you also understand that when it comes to notes, even after you've trained your nose, there are going to be slight differences between one fragrance and the other when it comes to the notes. For example, you can have the note of honey smell one way in one fragrance and smell slightly different in another, and smell completely kind of different in another. But all in all, once you've trained your nose to pick up on the note of honey, you will start to have the ability to discern with your nose, oh, this is honey. That's when sometimes when I do a haul with you and you see me pause and really kind of think about it, I'm processing, right? And then I'll tell you, oh, I picked it up. That's because I've come to understand, oh, even though this note of honey does not smell like it smelled in this other fragrance, this is the note of honey. And now I can clearly pick up that it's honey. Okay, so what are the steps that you take in order to train your nose to pick up the notes in any fragrance? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pick a fragrance from your collection, any fragrance. The only thing I have to caution you on is please make sure that if you're going to pick a Middle Eastern fragrance, it's one that has been sitting for at least 6 months, because we want to make sure that that fragrance has had a chance to go through its maceration and maturation process, which we will cover in another video. But as long as you've had that fragrance for 6 months and it's been sitting there, even if you've been using it, then you're okay to use it for this exercise. After you've selected a fragrance from your collection, you're going to go into a website to find the notes of the fragrance. At times when we pick up a fragrance, the notes will be listed on the box or in the back of the bottle. It depends on the fragrance house. But most of the time you are going to have to go to a website. And I definitely recommend that first and foremost, you go to the fragrance house website. Not necessarily Fragrantica. So Fragrantica is a good place. It would be the second place that I would recommend. And the third place would be Perfume. I will list everything in the description box for you. Everything that I share with you today will be linked in the description box to where you can pick it up in case you're interested. And I will also list for you the websites that I just mentioned. All right, so then once you have outlined or you found all of the notes in the fragrance that you're doing the exercise with, the next step will require you to have a set of essential oils. Now, those essential oils, each little vial represents a different note that you need to get your nose trained on. And I have a set here that I highly recommend, and it is a set that has 90 essential oils. And it comes in a box like this. And I'm going to show them to you in a minute. And I tell you, this set is excellent. These are all natural and organic essential oils, and it covers 90 different notes that you can find in a fragrance. Just about everything is here except for compound notes such as like ambroxan or aldehydes, but you do have even like benzoin within this set. This is a pretty complete set, and I think it's the perfect starter set, and it will not break the bank because, as I'm sure you can understand, some of these notes are quite expensive. Even if you're only picking up 1 ml, it can get quite expensive as you add on all the notes that you need. So this set that comes in that box that I just shared with you, here is one of the walls of samples that you're going to get. And let me bring it closer. Maybe you can read some of the notes in some of these. And then of course you can see here, it brings a little dropper. So that is the first one. And then there's another wall of essential oils. Once you have that, and of course I will link it for you in the description box, you are going to take your vial, right? And you are going to pick out all of the little essential oil vials that align with the notes that are part of the fragrance that you selected. You are going to take a little vial and you are going to take a little bit of the essential oil, and I recommend that you get one of the perfume strips that we typically use, and you put a little drop, just one drop of the, because they're pretty strong, of the essential oil, and you sniff it. Then you're going to spray the fragrance in another strip and you are going to smell it. And when you smell the fragrance, I want you to try and find the scent of that specific note that you sprayed on the other strip. As you do that exercise, you are going to start to train your nose to become familiar with that specific note. And it will come to the point where you will smell a note in a fragrance. As soon as you sniff a fragrance, you're going to say, oh my goodness, this fragrance has this and this and this and this, because there's like a brain kind of memory that's triggered by a fragrance. That's what I try to explain to several of the fan members within the comment section, because, you know, sometimes I think you guys think that I just sit here and I just like throw out notes. No, it's just that as I'm sniffing a fragrance, it triggers the memory of what the note smells like because I've trained my nose. So then immediately your brain starts to generate and say, oh, that's honey. Oh, that's strawberry. Oh, that's a milk note, because we even have milk within the vials that I just shared with you. Now, when it comes to aldehydes and ambroxan, I mean, there's so many different variations of ambroxan. I mean, to the core, ambroxan is ambroxan, but there are different variations. And you can pick up all of these notes. You can pick up 1 ml of each note, and it'll cost you anywhere between $3 to $5 for each one. But you have to go to a specific site that has perfumer compounds and chemicals, and I will link it for you in the description box. But I love to use madperfumer.com, and when it comes to the essential oils and other notes in a very organic and natural way, I love to use edenbotanicals.com. I want you to know that no part of this video has been sponsored. They don't know that I'm speaking about them. There is nothing going on here except me sharing my experience with you. Now, the set that I shared with you that has the 90 different notes, I'm telling you, it is the perfect set to start with. That you cannot go wrong with that set, because that set has note groups that include woods, spices, florals, fruits. All right, guys, so we've reached the end of today's video, and I wanted to make this short and sweet because there's no need to make this a long video, because this is a very simple process. All it will take is for you to be committed and for you to be interested in training your nose in picking up the notes of a fragrance. I tell you, once you start doing that, you are going to enjoy your fragrances in such a different way. You will never be the same. I am warning you. You will love to experience an olfactory journey. Linear fragrances will no longer cut it for you, because you will be all about that journey and picking up different fragrances and experiencing different feelings as you go through the olfactory journey. That is when you will start to really be able to hone in on understanding what the character of a fragrance means to you, right? So a fragrance that for me may be sexy, for you may just be a fragrance that makes you feel like a boss, which are two totally different concepts. But that's the beauty of fragrances, that we all experience them in a different way. Anyway, guys, we've reached the end of today's video, and as always, I just wanted to thank you for hanging with me today. I hope that this is helpful, guys. I really hope that this is meaningful content for you. Let me know if you're interested in more videos of this type, and as always, I will see you in the next video.